Welcome, Rabotai, to another to another session of our Wednesday night shiur. Today, B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to have a very interesting shiur, as we promised. Before that, I want to say this shiur is L'Rfuat Shlema Tzipora Sveta Bat Tamara and L'Rfuat Shlema Tamara Adina Bat Chayna Shlamit and Elun Nishmat Tzipora Sveta Leah and to Bella Bat Miriam. And the Refuah Shlema for
Mazal Bat Yafa.
Mazal Bat Yafa, and especially Refuah Shlema to my father, the Rabbi Aveliyahu ben Tzipor. May Hashem send him a speedy recovery, and to Leah Chana Bat Devor. Amen. The topic of our shiur today is a bit of a controversial topic because we are living in the land of Edom. We know that America is the inheritor of Rome. The topic is the origins of Christianity through the eyes of Jewish history, of course, and the reason why December 25th, also known as Christmas, and New Year's, which is known also as Sylvester, is a fictitious holiday, that its roots are not based in true history, as any real historian will know. So before we're going to start in our very important shiur, because as a person who learns most of the day in Kollel, as I've said to you guys before many times, we're somewhat in a tevat Noach when we sit there in the Beit Midrash all day learning Torah. We don't really know what's going on out there in the world as we're learning Torah all day. But 1 hour of the day I leave the kollel during my break time and I go teach in a yeshiva. Yeshiva for kids who they're so bad that even public school doesn't accept them. Jewish kids, Bukharian kids mostly. And I teach there an English class. It's kind of ironic that a kollel guy is teaching an English class. In fact, I teach one of the most atheistic classes. It's earth science, which, and the scientists believe that the earth is like 50 billion years old. And for a yeshiva guy to teach that class is very ironic. But, that's how Hashem rules the world. So I was teaching the class one day, and I like to be very personal with my students. Mess around with them, hug them. These kids need it. A lot of them come from divorced families. A lot of them come from families where the father doesn't talk to the child, or even if he does, it's very weird. And one of the kids over there, he's a very interesting child. He tells me one day there was only 2 kids in class. They all went to a trip, only 2 kids left. And he tells me, like in the matter of the fact, he has this. I can't wait to put up my yolka in my house this year. I said, what? This kid is wearing tzitzit.
Oh boy.
He doesn't wear a kippah all the time, but he was wearing his tzitzit. And he's like, yeah, I can't wait to put up all the lights. I help my mom every year. I already set up the lights in my room. He's a bit of a cheeky kid. And I was getting, back and forth with him. And at the end, he promised me he's not going to put up the tree. And I said to myself, I personally couldn't believe it. How in our day and age, after the Inquisitions, the massacres, the exiles, the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, how could a Jew living in the 21st century put up a Christmas tree in his house? How could he put up lights? I thought, maybe call me naive. When I go outside during this time of the year and I see lights outside the balconies and windows, I for sure say this is a Goyish house. Now I'm not so sure anymore. You never know. You never know. So I said to myself that I will try my best to go deep into the subject, and as a person of history, according to some Rishonim, to know Jewish history is a mitzvot aseh. Zechor yomot olam binu shno dor vador. We're doing right now, we're mekayim, according to some Rishonim, a mitzvot aseh from the Torah, of learning our history, our Jewish history. Thank you. And to know and understand what are the roots of Christianity, how was it an offshoot of Judaism, Why is Christmas, December 25th, really not the birthday of Yeshua? And how come New Year's Eve, or New Year's, is a very fictitious holiday? It's based on fiction. And so is December 25th. And to start that, first we have to start on the birth of one of the most... This is the man there's been a lot of discussion who he was, how did he live, and some historians even believe that he never really existed.
Wow.
His name was Yeshua. In the world today, he's known as the father of the greatest religion, or God, really. And Catholics believe in the Trinity, of course. They believe in the three. The Trinity means they believe in God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Protestants don't really believe in the Trinity.
What's the Holy Spirit?
The Holy Spirit, I don't know exactly what it means. Sometimes they call it Holy Spirit, and the Holy Ghost. I don't know what they call it, but they believe in God is three things. You understand? Total avodah zarah.
Yeah, it's loosely
And the Protestants, like we said, they don't really believe in the three Trinity, but it's also pure avodah zarah. The Christians believe that Yeshua was born 70 years before the Chorban Beit HaMikdash. That means before the destruction of the Second Temple, 70 years beforehand, they believe Yeshua was born. We know from our Gemara, which was censored. It was censored by the Christian printing press, because the printing press was in the hand of the Christians. It was one of the most powerful tools. Until today, the press is one of the most powerful tools in the world. And they decided to censor our Gemara and to rip out the story of Yeshua from our Gemara. The Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin has like 2-paragraph story about what was the story of Yoshka. There is one other place in the Gemara that it mentions this man. That is in Masechet Gitin, when Onkelos, the convert, decided to do a seance, and he brought 3 people back from the dead and asked them, do they think I should convert to Judaism? Onkelos was the grandson of Titus, and Titus was the one who destroyed the second Beit HaMikdash after his father left it into his hands. And Onkelos, the last person that Onkelos brought up from the dead, the Gemara says, was Yeshua, Oto Ha'ish, that man. And the Gemara says that Yeshua was burning in the Gehenom of Tzoar Rotachat. Not the nicest place to be in, as if you know, open Masechet Gehenom in the book of Reshit Chochmah of Rabbi Eliyahu Dividash, the student of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. The Reshit Chochmah says whoever goes to Tzoar Rotachat never comes back. It's a one-way ticket. So according to the Gemara, Yeshua existed. In fact, the Tosfot in Masechet Chagiga says that his mother is written in the Gemara.
Wow.
Who is his mother? The Gemara calls her Miriam. Miriam the hairdresser. She was a hairdresser. This Miriam, or Mother Maria, as they call her, she, according to the stories, she had a husband called Yosef. Whether Yosef was a descendant of King David or not, we don't know, but it's not really important. Why? Because the Christians believe that Yeshua's father was God. So what do we care if Yeshua's father was from his adopted father was from the descendant of King David? He can never be a descendant of King David because it comes from the father's side. So that's already one big disapproval of the whole thing that Yeshua was a descendant of King David because it comes from the father, and he had no father. His father was God, according to what they say. Miriam claims that she's pregnant from God. That's how the New Testament goes on about it. And this son was born after 3 wise men saw a star in the heavens, and they decided to trace the star to a house in Bethlehem. As you guys know, in December 25th, there is plays that go on in churches, how there's a big star, they hang a big star, and 3 wise men come, and they see a baby being born. This is the Son of God. But in the book called Maaset Tzadikim of the Avrech Miluv, the Avrech writes, there is a midrash that says that the father of Yeshua was actually a man called Fandira, a Roman general. Fandira coveted the beauty of Miriam, and when her husband Yosef was not home, he raped Miriam, and she got pregnant. To save herself from death, she fabricated a story that she got pregnant from God, or God planted a seed inside of her. And the Christians decided, after many years, and we're going to discuss how many years exactly, to decide that the date of their Savior's birth is December 25th, which is about 6 days before their New Year's. Now the problem was like this. Christianity was an offshoot of Judaism. What does that mean? Until about 300 years after the apparent birth of Yeshua, Christians and Jews were indiscernible. You couldn't tell a difference between a Christian and a Jew. They both had peot. They both had kippas. They both dressed the same, wore tzitzit, kept Shabbat. Both of them kept Shabbat on Saturday, kept Pesach. They kept all the holidays. They kept everything. The only difference between a Christian and a Jew was that the Christians believed that their Mashiach was already born. And he was Yeshua. But the problem was, what's the big problem with that? Yeshua died and he didn't bring the salvation to the Jewish people. So where is the Mashiach if he's dead? If he's dead, he didn't do anything. He didn't bring all the prophecies to fruition. Where is Mashiach? So they came up with the second coming. What did they say? Yeshua is going to wake up one day and he's going to fulfill all the prophecies. Right now he's in a slumber. Basically he's on his way. He's coming. For 2,000 years he's coming. This person that was crucified on the cross, killed by Romans, because the Romans were pagans. The Romans believed in many deities. They believed in idols. They didn't believe in God. The pagans, the Romans, they hated Christians as much as they hated Jews. The worst thing that the Romans hated was when somebody that had a good power of speech and that was very powerful was able to attract many followers and cause people to convert away from paganism. They hated that the most. So when they caught Yeshua for spreading his doctrine that he was Mashiach, they crucified him to the cross. Of course, the Christians will blame the Jews for this many years later. They didn't blame us right away. Only about 300 years later, about the year 326 to the Common Era, that means 326 years after his birth, did they start to blame us for killing Yeshua. Everybody knows that the real killer of Yeshua was the Romans. Everyone knows that. He was killed by the Romans. Why? For spreading that he was the Mashiach. And the Romans did what? They destroyed the Beit HaMikdash. They hated Judaism. They hated anything that deals with one God. So what did they do? They crucified him. They stuck him to the cross and they killed him. What happened? According to Jewish law, you're not allowed to leave a dead corpse outside, hanging, for more than a day. That means if let's say they crucified him, they hanged a guy at noon. By nighttime, he has to be buried. Right? That means till the night comes, he has to be in the ground. Why? It's Kililat Elohim Talui, the Torah says. Right? So what happens? One Jewish guy, he took his body off from the cross, and he buried him. The Christians, they came back to the cross the next day. Oh, what happens? God took him, and then they said he's coming back. The second coming. Now, anybody could say that. I could say, my grandfather is dead, he's coming back. Does that mean he's a God? But the problem was like this. Until that time, the only monotheistic religion in the world was Judaism. There was only one religion in the world, one nation that believed in one God. That was the Jews. No one else believed in one God. And for 300 years, Christians and Jews lived together. And the rabbis couldn't take it anymore. They hated it. Why? Because you could be talking to a guy in the street, he knows Gemara, he knows Torah and everything. Suddenly he says, my Mashiach is Yeshua. And you're thinking, and this guy is a mumar. He's a mumar. You don't know, it's causing all these weird halachic things. It was a very bad situation for the Chachamim. Very bad situation. And for the Christians, it was really bad too, because they wanted to separate themselves from the Jews as much as possible. But they couldn't, because Yeshua wrote on the New Testament, if somebody slaps you on one side of the face, you got to move the next side of your face to slap him. Yeshua writes in the New Testament, you got to keep the Shabbat. Yeshua writes in the New Testament, you have to respect the Chachamim. Because Yeshua himself was a student of the Chachamim. He was a religious Jew. So the Christians had a very big problem. What to do? They were waiting, and this guy, he's the real father of Christianity. Not Yeshua. The real father of Christianity was a guy named Shaul. Shaul of Tarsus. He changed his name to Paul. Paul. From Shaul to Paul. Paul of Tarsus. Now, you guys also know another guy called Peter. Peter actually didn't want to change Christianity. He wanted to keep it the way it was. Till this guy came up, Paul. Now this Paul is going to make tohu vavohu. He's going to make the Christian, he's going to put them on the map. He's going to put them on the map. What is he going to do? Paul comes up with a scheme.
He was Jewish.
Of course. Not only was he Jewish, he was born to a religious family. His family were deeply religious. He calls his family Chachamim. He one day is on his way to Damascus. On the way to Damascus, he claims that he gets an epileptic shock. He writes this himself. I'm not making this stuff up, guys. He claims he gets an epileptic shock. And in this epileptic shock, he gets blinded. He can't see anymore. And who reveals himself to him? Yeshua. And Yeshua tells him, Paul, my son, God has decided to throw away the Jews and to make a new covenant with my followers, the real Jews. And who are these people? The Christians. And what was the covenant? No more Brit Milah. That's what Paul said. No more cutting at the 8 days old. It's barbaric. Yeshua told him, we can't hurt the children. You know where God is going to make us a Brit? In the heart. Paul said, why can't you eat pork, pig, all the foods? God wants you to enjoy this world. Eat and enjoy. In fact, God said to keep Shabbat. You don't have to not do anything on Shabbat. Go to shul and pray. Work. Keep Shabbat the way you see fit. But he still kept it on Saturday. Shabbat was still Saturday. Paul came up with what today we know as modern Christianity. But still there was no Christmas. There was no New Year's. They had no holidays. Their holidays were our holidays. They kept our holidays. Paul thought that by coming up with this new scheme of Christianity, he will be able to convert who? Not non-Jews. He wanted to convert Jews. He wanted to turn the Jews into this new religion. But the Jews cast them out like a garbage. So where did Paul go after? To the center of the world back then, the empire state, Rome. But he didn't know that the Romans hated the Christians just as much as they hated the Jews. In fact, the Romans hated the Christians so much back then that one of their favorite shows, reality shows, they used to put a Christian in the Colosseum and they used to make him wrestle a lion with his bare hands. That was one of their favorite pastime, the Romans. All this continued until the year 313 Common Era. And this is when Rome becomes Christian. An emperor called Constantine. comes to the equation, to the scene. Constantine was a nice guy. He was a very nice guy, and he wanted his subjects all to be equal. So he passed an edict called the Edict of Tolerance. What does that mean? You can't persecute Christians and Jews anymore. No more killing people just like that. We're trying to make Rome a civilized place, he was saying. And he was right, he wanted to make it civilized, but he himself didn't convert to Christianity. He didn't convert to Christianity until the last year of his life. He stayed Roman. In fact, this Constantine was the one that Christmas is based on. What do I mean? In the year 326 Common Era, there was a very, very big gathering of all the Christian clergy and all their big people in a city in Rome called Nicaea, under the rulership of Constantine. Constantine allowed it. All these Christians got together. This is the most infamous gathering of all the clergy of Christianity. All gathered in one place. They all gathered in Nicaea, and they decided to make new rules. Shabbat is not Saturday anymore. It's Sunday. Christians cannot marry Jews. That's it. They decided to totally separate the two religions. Christianity will not celebrate Pesach anymore. We have a new Pesach, they said. What's the new Pesach? Easter. Easter. Christianity cannot do business with Jews. No more business. Imagine if today all the barber shops would say, no more Christians going to the barber shops. Yeah. They started to make all these rules, and they decided to make a new holiday. The birth of their Savior, December 25th. Why did they pick December 25th? You guys are going to bug out. Constantine, who was there, the emperor was there, he believed in this pagan idol called Mitra. Mitra. Mitra was a god that was a man that was born to a virgin mother. And guess when was his birthday? December 25th. Constantine said, I want to base Christianity's new holiday on my old holiday. That way I could celebrate your holiday and my holiday together. And the Christian said it's perfect. Your God is born from a virgin mother. And guess what? Our God is born from a virgin mother. It's perfect. December 25th is decided. That's Christmas. And guess what? You know when Krishna was born? Krishna is one of the deities in India. Krishna's birthday is also December 25th. And you know what the Indians believe? Krishna was born from a virgin mother. The Buddhists, they believe Buddha was born from a virgin mother. And when is his birthday? 25th. December 25th. Wow. Do you see any connection between the four religions? A religion that says that we believe in one God has its most important holiday on a holiday that's based on paganism. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then we, in the 21st century, have to put up a yolka in our houses, chas v'shalom, to celebrate. We think it's this guy that's born. This is based on avodah zarah. This whole holiday. It's a pagan holiday. And you know what New Year's is? New Year's. What do the goyim do in New Year's? What do they do once it hits 12 o'clock at night? What do they do? Crazy. They go crazy. They start hugging each other. This one is kissing his boyfriend. This one's kissing their girlfriend. This one's kissing this. He's kissing her. Today, yes. All the crazy stuff. They get drunk. Did you ever go to the train after January 1st?
I did it one time, like 10 years ago.
That place reeks of alcohol, all the trains. People sleeping on the subways, throw up everywhere. In the city, of course, mostly. You know why? Christianity was very similar to Judaism. Now, in Judaism, could you sleep with another man's wife? Could you kiss another man's wife? No. What holiday believes that on its New Year's, everything is allowed. Roman New Year's. Constantine wanted to make New Year's a day that's good with his beliefs. So he decided to make the rituals of New Year similar to his pagan deities. So that's why the minhag came out till today. On New Year's, you're under the mistletoe, schmistletoe, it's 12 o'clock at night, you kiss each other, you hug each other, everything's allowed on that day. Everything's allowed. That's not people believe in one God believe in that. We don't believe in such things. We believe that a person, a man and his wife, it's a sacred bond. You can't give away your wife to somebody even if it's for a couple of minutes, chas v'shalom. It's arva. But pagans believed in that. Pagans believed in that. And I'll tell you something even more interesting. The real New Year's was not January 1st. It was March. Why? Why was it March? The calendar that we go according to today is called the Gregorian calendar. But the Gregorian calendar is only about 700 years old. The real calendar that they used to go according to was the Julianist calendar. The Julianist calendar went according to March. March was New Year's. Now imagine today we're going to make a party in the middle of March. All the restaurants are open, it's March, let's go. Would you celebrate a pagan holiday, a pagan New Year's?
What day, March?
March 1st.
Oh, yeah.
That was their holiday. When did the Gregorian calendar come up? There was a pope.
Yeah.
His name was Gregory the 13th. The 13th. Not the 1st, the 13th. Gregory the 13th had a problem with the Julianist calendar. What was his problem? You see, the Christians believe that Easter has to be the day after when night and day are equally 12 hours. There is one day a year where night is 12 hours and day is 12 hours. It's called in Hebrew Yom HaHishtavuot. And the next day is Easter's. Now, according to Julianist calendar, Easter always fell out 10 days before or 10 days after this day called Yom HaHishtavuot. Now, Gregory the 13th, the Pope, had a problem with that. He said, wait a second. We can never really celebrate the real Easters. So what did he do? One day, it was October 4th, and the next day was supposed to be October 5th. You guys, you could anything that comes out of my mouth, you could go and search. In fact, I'm asking you guys, go and search if what I'm saying is true today. It was October 4th, and the next day was supposed to be October 5th. He decided, because of this problem of Easters, to skip 10 days into the future. So instead of the next day being October 5th, what day did it become? October 15th. But to do that, he had to change the whole calendar. Because they will tell them, listen, you can't just jump 10 days into the future. You got to change the whole thing now. So he decided, Gregory the 13th, to create a new calendar. And he decided that the new calendar, New Year's, would fall on what day? January 1st. And what did he base this on? Who was the first pope in Christianity?
A Jew.
The first pope was a man called Sylvester Maestro. Who's this Sylvester Maestro? Not Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Maestro. This Sylvester Maestro is the first pope. He was put into power by Constantine himself. That means before Sylvester became pope in Rome, there was no popes. He was the first pope in Rome. Now you're thinking of Peter, the first pope. He wasn't really a pope. All the Christians didn't really come to him as one. In fact, Christians were divided between Paul and Peter. But the real pope, the first one, he's the guy who put Christianity on the map, was a man called Sylvester. He was the one who convinced Constantine to pass the Edict of Tolerance so the Romans wouldn't kill Christians anymore. And he was the one that eventually convinced Constantine, even though it was after his death already, he died, to convert to Christianity, making Christianity the formal religion of Rome. Now, Sylvester died on December 31st. What comes after December 31st?
Yeshua.
January 1st. So Gregory the 13th said, let's make the New Year's to mark the death of the first Pope, Sylvester. Now what's the ironic thing? What's the ironic thing over here? The only two places in the world where they call New Year Sylvester is Germany and Israel. No other place. Go to an American today, say January 1st is Sylvester. Like, what? What's Sylvester? Sylvester Stallone? That's what I think you're saying. The only two countries in the world that call this New Year Sylvester is Germany and Israel.
Why Israel?
That's,
They took everything from Germany.
you should know that many of the ideas, many Jews that came to Israel after the Holocaust, they took with them a lot of German, a lot of German ideals. You understand? So Sylvester, now let's talk about this guy a bit. He didn't like Jews. In fact, he hated them. He hated the fact that the Jews shunned Christianity. He hated the fact that the Jews didn't believe Yeshua was Mashiach. He hated the fact that the Jews didn't want to intermarry with them. He hated everything about Jews. Anything about Yehudim, X. What happened? When Constantine died, Constantine converted to Christianity at the end. His son became emperor, Constantinus. This Constantinus was not good to the Jews. Because of the brainwashing of Sylvester to his father, he learned the same thing when he was a young kid. He created Rome. Not only was it a devout Catholic place, it was a very anti-Semitic place. Italy became very hostile to the Jews. The only time the Jews had a little bit, couple of years they were good in Rome was when Constantinus died and Julianus became emperor. He was good to the Jews, but he only was emperor for a couple of years. He died, and the next guy who became emperor was Malach HaMavet to the Jews. His name was Theodosius, the emperor. He allowed Christians to go inside synagogues and kill Jews on the day of Shabbat. They said, you guys say Shabbat is Saturday? The real Shabbat is when? Sunday. There were mass massacres in Rome. Mass massacres. And the Romans, which were now becoming Catholic, they came up with this belief that the person who killed Yeshua was not them. Who was it? It was the Jews. The Jews became the number one scapegoat. Now you guys think, okay, what's the big deal? I'm not connecting myself at New Year's to the Sylvester, to this emperors, to the Romans, to their pagans. First I want to tell you guys one thing. When Hitler, Yemach Shemo V'Zichro, when he decided to exterminate all the Jews, if he would have went to Japan with his idea, would they believe him? Would they care even what he said? Why wouldn't they care? Because Japan wasn't formally known as anti-Semitic. Nobody really cared over there about Jews. If he would have gone to America with his idea, would they believed him? Would they cared about what he said? No. Australia, South America, Africa. The only place where Hitler would be successful in his ideals was Europe. And the reason Hitler was successful in Europe in killing, exterminating, massacring, butchering, gassing 6 million Jews was because Europe was anti-Semitic. Why was it anti-Semitic? Because of the brainwashing of the church. Pope Joseph, under the table, was helping Hitler. He knew what was happening to the Jews. He knew. When the Jews came with their children to the church, keep my kids alive. When they came back after the Holocaust, did they give him back their children? Not even one. Not even one. And you guys want to go out there on New Year's, on this Gregorian date, based on a pagan holiday, based on a pope who brainwashed Europe, who made it the foundation of anti-Semitism for Hitler to come and massacre 6 million Jews and celebrate this day? How could you even dare to do such a thing? How could you even dare to even say Happy New Year's? Should be an avera, to even say that. And to celebrate Christmas? To put a yolka in your house? What is that? December 25th is not even his birthday. December 25th is the birthday of Mitra, the god of Constantine. When was Jesus' real birthday? July 14th. Scientists have discovered that the star that the three wise men saw could only be in the summer. It could only be in the summertime. So his real birthday is not even in the winter, it's in the summer. What are you celebrating even? What are you singing? I know, they even sing this song by the tree.
Yes.
I don't even know what it's called. They don't even say it. How could you do such a thing? If you go today to Europe, to the Gothic, to all those old churches and stuff, you're going to see a picture of two women over there. Two statues of two women. One woman is holding a broken staff. She's blindfolded and her back is hunched. One woman is dressed like a queen with hands held upright in a queen-like position. The Christian doctrines held that the old woman, the one that's blindfolded with a broken staff, that represented Judaism. And the woman that's held upright, that represents who? Christianity. The new religion of God, Kabutabi. Now, halachically speaking, Rabotai, halachically speaking, is Christianity considered avodah zarah or no?
No.
Yes.
Yes, no, maybe. Let's look inside the book.
Special alone.
What does Rav Ovadia say? If you guys open up the book Yabiya Omer, Rav Ovadia's magnum opus, Chelik Bet, Yoredea, Siman Yud Aleph, Ot Dalet, Rav Ovadia brings down in the name of the poskim very clearly. Kevan, since Shetzurat Hashti Va'erev, the form of the cross, Asher Bevet Knesiyatam, is in the house of their worship, Hi avodah zarah gemura. It is pure avodah zarah. Pure avodah zarah. Ve'asura behana'ah. And you're not allowed to benefit from it. Veda, vadai, shebeit tefilatam karu beit avodah zarah. Their house of worship is considered a house of avodah zarah. Rav Ovadia writes it down. I'm not making this stuff up, guys. Now, who is Christianity, Rabotai? Who is he? Let's first talk tachlis. We should have said this in the beginning. Who is he, Christianity? Who is he? Christianity is Esav. Open up this week's parasha, the last Rashi. The last Rashi in Parashat Vayishlach, where it lists all the generals of Esav. The last general is Aluf Magdiel. The general Magdiel. Who's Magdiel? Rashi on the spot, 2 words. He Romi. This is Rome. Esav is Rome. Christianity is Esav. It's not Judaism. It broke apart. They wanted to say that they were the original Jews. They wanted to say that God shunned us. They wanted to destroy us. They wanted to kill us. They knew the Holocaust was happening. They knew. They knew that the Spanish Inquisition was happening. Not only did they know, they did it. They did it. They knew that the exiles of the Black Plague was happening. They knew all of it, and they wanted it. They wanted to eradicate the Jews from the face of the world. Until today, they still want to do it. But today, it's different. They don't come with a sword anymore. They don't come with a bullet anymore. They don't come with force anymore. You know what they come with? New Year's party. Let's come and have some fun. In the colleges, Hillel, Shmilel, in the schools where we send our kids, at work, in the restaurants, in the internet. All this stuff, Rabotai, has subliminal messages. If you go to Israel today, Rabotai, if you go to Jerusalem, what do you see over there on the other side? Where the Jewish side is, and then you have the Armenian side. What are you going to see over there? Church, 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 church. You know they want to take the kever of King David from us? David HaMelech's grave. You know it's in Jerusalem? You ever prayed over there? You ever gone there?
There's two of them.
There's two, the famous one. The famous one, Har Zion. I don't know.
Because one of them is a decoy.
The Christians say that this King David is their king. It's their man. It's not ours. They want to say that Yoshka had his last supper in the room next to where King David is buried. That's what they want to say. They go there with their, if you see videos, with their clergy, sing over there. Rabotai, isn't this a Chilul Hashem? How could we as Yehudim allow such a thing to happen? Where is Mashiach Tzidkeinu, Rabotai? The real Mashiach. What have we been waiting for 2,000 years, Rabotai? I was sitting in the, I don't want to say where, I was sitting somewhere and one guy comes and he says, what's the big deal? So what? I raise the glass and say Happy New Year's. So what? It's a day of happiness. I'm celebrating the new calendar. I asked him, do you celebrate Rosh Hashanah the same way you celebrate New Year's?
Rosh Hashanah is Chag.
It's a Chag. It is a Chag. And you want to celebrate a Chag that's based on a man who was responsible for placing the foundations of massacre of 6 million Jews. That's what you want to celebrate? That's what you want to celebrate? New Year's? How about it? We don't have enough holidays. You want another Jewish holiday? It's not enough. Every one of our holidays is 7 days. You want another day? It's not enough.
It's not that. No one's working.
No one's working. Also by us, nobody's working in the Jewish holidays.
Yeah,
At least nobody's supposed to be working.
You can do muktzah.
You know?
You can do muktzah.
That's true, but you know what? The fact that we don't do the muktzah is part of the resting.
But
I'm
this is
working that day.
your Rosh Hashanah is a spiritual holiday. This is not a spiritual holiday. This
do this.
is a physical holiday.
You know, guys.
Where everybody gets together. Nobody's at work. Everybody's drinking,
Rabotai,
eating,
let me tell you something.
having a good time.
Avodah writes, Rosh Hashanah is a happy holiday. Okay?
Yes. it's a
And
very
you know
happy
what?
holiday.
Like our friend over here asked in the beginning, what is happiness? Is it really drinking and going crazy with your friends? Ask any of those people who get dead drunk the next day, how do they feel?
No, it's not
I'm sure some of them don't feel so good. But as Jewish people, it's not always about having fun. We have to understand what is the source of these holidays. Is it connected to paganism or no? And the fact of the matter is that all of these holidays is 100% connected to paganism, to many deities. And I could go example after example, the lights on the Christmas tree, and all the different minhagim they have, the presents and all this stuff, Santa Claus. I didn't even touch who Santa Claus was. You know who Santa Claus was? Saint Nick. Do you know who was Saint Nick? So why don't you Google it? Who was Saint Nick? He was not a very jolly man, I'll tell you that much. He was a rabid anti-Semite, I'll tell you that much. But he was not a jolly man. And certainly he wasn't holding a can of Coca-Cola and drinking with the polar bears. Alright? He was a rabid anti-Semite. Responsible for the massacre of Jews in Europe. Okay? Saint, they call him. Saint Nick. Saint Nicholas is Santa Claus. Okay? Now, what does this mean to us? If a person celebrates New Year's, if a person celebrates Xmas, if you know a person is putting up a tree, and he invites you to his house on that day, you shouldn't be ashamed to say, I don't serve avodah zarah. You shouldn't be ashamed, Rabotai. This is our birthright. This is our nation. We've survived 2,000 years in Galut Magdiel. This is the Galut Romi. This is in the prophecy of Daniel. He saw an animal over there which had no name. And this animal had a horn that spread out. And in this horn sprouted another horn. This animal, the Mefarshim say, is Romi. It's Romi. This is Rome. It's not a rhino. It's an animal that has no. Daniel says, I don't know what the name of this animal was. Read the prophecy of Daniel. You're gonna see over there. It's fascinating, but read it with English because a lot of it's Aramaic. Now I want to tell you guys one last thing before we end the shiur. And this is gonna be like the nail, in the coffin.
The icing on the cake.
Right. I want to tell you guys a secret today.
Oh.
What's a secret? I told you guys many secrets today. But the secret I want to tell you is like this. How did Christianity succeed in converting the greatest empire to ever live to its cause?
Oh.
I mean, Islam has been trying to do the same thing for 1,500 years. They're not that successful.
Yep.
But Christianity was able to do it to the greatest empire in the world. How were they able to do it? And the answer is you're not going to believe. About 800 years ago, there was a pope. Now, in the year 456, I believe, 456 of the Common Era, Rome was sacked by a group called the Vandals. And after they were sacked by the Vandals, they were sacked by the barbarians that plunged Rome and Europe into the Dark Ages. While the Jews in the Arab lands back then were enjoying Age of Enlightenment, they were enjoying a time where they were going very far into the Torah, into the sciences, Europe became very barbaric. And during that time, the church was on the verge of breaking apart. The church basically then broke down into two different sects. One was the Byzantium Empire, and one was the Roman Empire. The Byzantiums wanted to overcome Rome. They wanted to make Byzantia the new capital of Christianity. And the Christians, the Pope, the Catholics in Rome were very scared. They were losing their power. So the Pope was a very, very smart man. And he devised a plan to go to the king of the Franks with a letter. In this letter, he wrote over there a very, very nice fable. In the fable he wrote over there that 500 years ago, when Constantine was still alive, the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity, there was a man called Sylvester. We know him as the first pope. And Sylvester was the teacher of Constantine. That's what he wrote in his letter. And in this letter he writes that Constantine one day fell asleep and he had a dream and he saw two angels come to him. One was Paulus and one was Petrus. Paulus and Petrus came to him and they told him, Constantine, embrace your new religion. Constantine woke up and he went to Sylvester. And Sylvester told him, don't worry, they weren't angels, those were the two disciples of Yeshua, Peter and Paul. They've come to tell you that Yeshua wants you to convert to Christianity. So this letter goes on and he writes over there, it's written over there, that Constantine has then a vision of Yoshka. Yoshka tells him, if you want to win all your wars, tell all your soldiers to put on their shield a cross and go to war like that, and they're going to win every war. And that's what Constantine did. He converted by Sylvester to Christianity and he went to all of his wars. He was successful. And in one of his wars, he saw a hologram in heaven of Yeshua. And Yeshua told him, embrace me, embrace my religion, and you will be the most powerful emperor in the world. When Constantine saw this, he was baptized, and he gave all of the Roman Empire to Sylvester. He made him the new ruler of the Roman Empire. And Sylvester, out of the goodness of his heart, took the spiritual side of the empire, and he gave Constantine the physical, materialistic side. And the story goes on how Constantine converted, and how all the Roman nobles converted, and everybody became Christian, yada 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 yada. This Pope took this letter, and he went to the king of the Franks, and he told him this letter was kept in a safe in the church. It was written by Constantine himself. The king of the Franks took the letter, he read it, and he said that the real emperors of Rome is really who? It's really the church. So he decided to protect the empire of the Vatican from the Byzantiums. And he gave them a small state, the king of the Franks, in Rome, known as the Vatican. Till today it stands, one of the richest, smallest countries in the world. What happened was, this letter that the Pope claimed to be written by Constantine in the year 1482 or 1582 was proven to be mizuyaf, forged. The writer of this letter was not Constantine. It was the Pope himself. Because of his fear that one day the Byzantiums will come and destroy the Vatican, he made up a letter, kabutabi, that Constantine really gave them the Holy Roman Empire. The king of the Franks believed him, and he protected him, and gave him a small strip of land in Italy, in Rome, known as the Vatican. Until this day, people believe that the Holy Roman Empire was really in the hands of the church the whole time. And even though during the Renaissance this letter was proven to be forged, the repercussions are still felt today. Rabotai, lahavdil elef havdalot. Our nation, I don't call us a religion, our nation, is not based on a letter. It's not based on something forged. It's not based on fallacies. It's not based on polytheism. It's not based on deities. It's not based on a savior. Our Torah is chai v'kayam, Rabotai. Our Torah is the most authentic source in the world. Everything is written in our Torah. All the religions copied our Torah. Everything is not on Torah. Why do we put our backs toward the Torah? Rabotai, it's so beautiful, it's so sweet. Nothing could compare to the Torah Kedusha. So I will tell you guys one thing. Instead of celebrating Chas v'Shalom this day, that day, why don't you take yourself a charuta? Open up a Chumash, open up a Navi, open up a Gemara, open up a Mishnah, learn Torah, prove to the world that you are the continuation of the only nation that was chosen by Hashem. Baruch Adonai le'olam.
I got a question.
Amen ve'amen.
What about Islam? Do they observe the holiday?
1 second.
New Year's, huh?
What'd you say?